Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of The View with Vertex. I'm your host, Isaac, and today I'm joined by the newly incorporated Managing Director of BWS Clearmind. They are an addiction support service, and they're here to tell us a little bit about what they've got planned in the near future. Paul.
How are we doing, pal?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's great to have you in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
It seems like it's just been a whirlwind. It's like from speaking to me a couple of weeks ago when it was just like an idea about coming on. There was no business then. There was plans, there was ideas, but snowballed.
All of a sudden, just due to good people. The idea came along back in March, and I was laying in my bed in a rehab centre for addiction, and I just had this idea of trying to stop what happened to me so quickly. Maybe if I could help just one person, and that was it. And then it just left it there. And then I come out of the treatment centre into a secondary treatment centre, which was a bit more normality, and I got my phone back and things like that. Started connecting back with old friends. One in particular, a lad who you know well, Paul Caulfield. And I just said to him, "Caulfield, what do you think about this?" And he went, "Do you know what? Like, you have some of that." And that was literally it. And then over the next few weeks, I started thinking, and I thought, you know what? And then I started talking to Corfs, and then he introduced me to another friend of yourself, Ian Hines, who again, he won't mind me saying, he's in this kind of business as well himself. And it's just throwing these ideas just around, a couple of Teams calls, a couple of WhatsApp messages and phone conversations, and then before you know it, I've got a LinkedIn page. I get directed towards yourself. We have a chat, and these things just grow arms and legs quite quickly.
Yeah. Like I say, it's momentum, innit? You just get this. Once you get the wind in your sails, things start happening. It's strange as well because when you start, every business is the same. You don't know where your next gig's coming from. You don't know where. Certainly the same with me. I've only had the training business really. It's only been really fully operational since, I'd say, probably April. Do you know what I mean? Before that, it was like a side thing that I was doing with the other two lads that we had the scaffolding business with. And that was the main focus. And this was just like a little sort of a side job. And then, we separated the scaffolding business. I came out of that and went on my own. And you sort of like, oh, fucking hell. Here it is. You know what I mean? I'm on my own now. I'm going to have to start getting some work in. And, it's just the momentum. You do one thing for one person, that leads to a conversation with another person. They put you into, and before you know it, you're like, you snowed under. Yeah. Or you've got the leads, and you've got like, as you say, it takes on a life of its own, doesn't it?
It does, and it's like it's quite a weird feeling for me because, like, normally, before I got clean, I'd have some great ideas, and I'd grab them and I'd run with them, and I'd just mess them up. I've had all sorts of good ideas. That could have been good ideas where now it's a little bit different now. I've been lucky enough to have some really intensive treatment around my addiction, which the addiction is nothing to do with the drink or the substances. It's about your behaviours. They ain't the problem. We're the problem. They're our solution that we run to. And I've done a lot of work on myself and just brought back these ideas. And I have a team of really good people around me. And I think what makes this journey a bit even more special is the fact that when you're trying to do the right thing, where my previous life, if there was nothing in it for me, I weren't doing it. There had to be a payoff for me. I had to be getting something out of it. And I think when you try and be a bit more of a nicer person, a bit more honest, good things do happen to good people. And you used to think if you heard someone say that, they're full of shit kind of thing. But it's
it's got to be true, isn't it? I mean, you're planting seeds, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? With these good deeds, that rhymes. But you are, aren't you? You sort of like, and if you the seeds that you sow, you will hopefully reap what you sow, and good things happen, hopefully to good people. And it's just hopefully more and more people can pick up on what you're doing, and the more people you help, the better you feel about it, and the more you're going to want to continue doing it.
100%. I think like with this business itself, which I'll go into a bit later on, but it's going to be, I'm going to try and get into scaffolding companies to start with, because that's what I know.
Yeah.
I'm a scaffolder by trade. 20 years ago, I started with a couple of local firms, then ended up going to Lindens when they were building the new Arndale Centre in Manchester. So that's how long ago it was. That's where I met the Caulfields and another couple of good people who I'm still in contact with now. And I did love the job. I loved the banter. I weren't the best scaffolder, I'll tell you that now. And other people watching this will be laughing now because they know that I wasn't. But I had the gift of the gab. I ended up, I was never an advanced scaffolder. I went up to part 2, but then there was a vacancy for a supervisor when I was at SGB. I took that. Next thing you know, I'm contracts manager. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Company car, things like that, having lads underneath me and stuff. And a lot of it was done through just my personality, I think, and my way.
You referred to it before as bullshitting. When we were off camera, you referred to it as bullshitting. And you even used a word which I thought is an even strong word. You even used the word manipulation. And we'll touch on that as we go into the story of like addiction and all the rest of it. But it was just interesting what you were saying about not being the best scaffolder, and then, you know, you found your way into this role and that being a result of bullshit. I think it probably is a message that needs to be conveyed to some people, that you don't have to be the best scaffolder in order to, you know, to get into these senior positions. You know, some of the best scaffolders I know, if you put them in a senior position and ask them to, you know, work on a strategic level where they've got to manage a project, they fall to pieces. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, not always a necessity, I don't think, to be a superstar scaffolder to get yourself into a good position. Probably not giving yourself enough credit there.
I don't know. But yeah, so I think just on that note there, one of like probably the best scaffolder that I've ever worked with, Ian Caulfield.
Yeah, what a guy. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, yeah, I've seen his podcast as well. And yeah, and it's like he's happy enough on the tools, like running them from that side of things. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. But I did enjoy that kind of that role and things like that, but I did enjoy the scaffolding.
Yeah.
When I was scaffolding, I was playing football, played a lot of football, which will come into my story later on. And so it kept me fit. And like I say, the banter and what goes with it. So after when I was in the office, because I had all my mates underneath me. So we're all on price work. I had an old style branch manager, and he's right, give them this price for that. I give the lads the price. They go and do the job. I'm not paying them that. What do you mean you're not paying them that? These are my mates. And then I was going in the pub then on a Friday, getting it in the neck, and I thought, you know what, I'm not doing this. So I went back on the tools. Did a bit over industrial services or petrochem work, stuff like that. That was great. That was the working away. And when I try and get down to the start of my serious drinking, it was about them, because we was working for SGB on LOR, Lindsay Oil Refinery, over on Grimsby, all over that way. And we were staying over 12 days on, 2 days off, staying over in Cleethorpes.
They used to call it your long weekend, didn't they? No. Oh, you're on your long weekend. Yeah. It's like, what, I'll finish on Friday and come back. That's our weekend.
So you get one day at home, really, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but like Cleethorpes, it was all geared up for contractors. It was like Blackpool on speed.
Yeah.
And it was a mad place. And that's when my drinking started, being from after football or a week, or if I went out with my wife, my ex-wife, and stuff like that, to a couple of cans when the match is on, to every single night. And we came back from there because my first son was about to be born, and I just came back from that, and then just started drinking every night, couple of cans here, bottle of wine there, and justifying it with well, I've worked hard, work hard, play hard, I deserve this. And so, like I say, addiction is an illness, and it's a progressive illness. So it didn't get me till late, because I was 30 when my son Bobby was born. 31, so I got married at 31 when Bobby was born, and that's when it really started. I always liked a pint, but I never touched drugs. Never used to touch drugs. Used to look down on people that took drugs. Drugs are for mugs and all that. Carry on, and then that's when the drinking started, and it just got progressively worse.
So you found it was bad. Your drinking was bad when you were working away. Because I've done this before. You know, like, where it's God, when I was on the Shetlands, it was like 3 weeks on and a week off. And obviously the week off, you do what you want, can't you? But even the 3 weeks on, it was like a 18 to 30s holiday to the Shetlands. You was like every night, do you know what I mean? And it's hard when you come back home. It's hard to settle back into normal. And I guess, you know, if you're, you're married, you've got a missus, kid on the way and all the rest of it. You've got your routines that you've built up when you're working away. You know, those routines are interrupted. Her routines interrupted when you're back home. So it's a difficult transition, I think, from working away.
Yeah, it was definitely, and I think there was other things going on as well, like a change of career for my wife. It's like she had to change her career when she had the baby, and so all the full dynamics of the house changed. And instead of having the life that we did have, it was this new life, and things had to change, and things started just me definitely just started just eating the drinking. And to be fair, it was me my wife at the time, my ex-wife now. She was the first person to say about 10 years ago, "You're an alcoholic, you." And I thought, oh, just another stick for you to have a go, another thing for you to moan about, kind of thing. And you know what? She was bang on.
Yeah. It's. I think the problem is in our industry, in scaffolding, it's so hand in glove. Do you know what I mean? Like the two go together. Do you know? And I actually found even recently, even to the point of like a couple of years ago, having the scaffolding company. I've been off the tools for like 3 years working for Simeon, colleges, training people and whatnot. And then obviously when you start a business, you all hands on deck. So you're back out with the lads on the tools. And I was drinking way more than I was when I was working in a college, because the lads all have a drink, and it's like Friday and then like Thirsty Thursdays, and you know what I mean? There's always a reason, an excuse. You get a job done a bit quicker. You know, someone drives, you go, oh, I'll have a few beers in the van because you're driving. And I definitely found, I think my behaviour generally was like, in those early days, probably a lot of stress as well, but was not as good as it should have been. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's one of those trades where they do go together, don't they? The sort of drinking culture.
Yeah, 100%. And like alcoholism as well is quite rife in my family as well. Come from a big family, and we've lost people from alcoholism and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's hereditary. I ain't saying that one little bit.
I don't know. I get it, because I've seen the same in my family. So my dad was alcoholic. So he passed away 2009, 2007. His brother, my uncle Carl, he passed away. He was an alcoholic. I think there's other members of his dad, my dad's direct families and brothers, sisters who've had struggles with the drink. And then over on the other side, he's had, his cousin died prematurely as a result of alcoholism. His daughter, so my dad's cousin's daughter, died prematurely as a result of alcoholism. His niece, so my dad's brother's daughter, died prematurely due to alcoholism. So it definitely is rife within families. There must be some, genetic predisposition towards, I don't know, addiction. Do you know what I mean? And certainly with my family, alcohol. So yeah, I reckon it does run in families.
Yeah, I think like as that started getting progressive with me, we had two other children as well. So obviously I've got 3 beautiful children, and about it started, and then it really turned for me like 4 or 5 years ago when we separated, and instead of doing what any normal father should do, is go and get himself a little 2-bedroomed house where the kids can come at the weekends and things like that. For me, it was like, right, the shackles are off now. I ain't got nobody to answer to anymore. And the amount of sofa surfing, living at my mum's, living at my sister's, living with my friends, it was just a rapid de-escalation into absolute chaos, where it gone from drinking every night after work to drinking at work Always had a couple of cans behind the seat, so I'm driving illegally. I'm still under the influence, and all this stuff, I wouldn't say made perfect sense. It didn't matter. And it was like all these things, even when I say it now, and some of the things that I've done in the last few years, some of them I can't even say on camera. And it's like some of the things that I've done are, it's not what worries me is not what I actually did or what I thought about doing. It was the fact that these thoughts at that time made perfect sense to me. And when I think about them now, nearly 12 months sober with a bit of clarity of mind, it is mind blowing how this addiction can get older. And I can't blame all my actions and all the things I've done wrong on addiction, but it had a massive, massive part in it. And I certainly wouldn't even think about having them thoughts now with what I know now.
So it wasn't just the addiction to alcohol. When did the drugs come into it? Because I know we spoke off camera. So, what the drug of choice was?
Cocaine.
Yeah, and obviously, again, we've said, haven't we? It kind of goes hand in glove. A lot of scaffolders. Friday night, we were saying, you can't go into a pub without hearing somebody sort of sniffing cocaine in the toilets. It's everywhere. It's like we said, didn't we? It's like at epidemic levels. It would appear in society. What was your sort of first? When did you realise that was becoming a problem?
Well, I've always tried had bits of it over the years, but very rarely bought it. If it was knocking about and someone offered me some, I'd have some, but I could take it or leave it. And then, like I said, when I separated from my wife, and then lockdown hit not long after, I got with somebody. I got with another partner, and it went a bit full blown there. And that wasn't her side; it was me. And then it went from like weekends to, I'll tell you what, a couple of times during the week. And then towards the end, it was like, well, I left Manchester not last Christmas, the Christmas before. I left Manchester for Plymouth. I've got a friend in Plymouth, one of my best friends, Martin. I'll have to shout him out because I've shouted Corf, so it'd be mad if I don't mention them two. Are best mates. The three of us have been close for years. And
another scaffolder as well.
Scaffolder, yeah. He works down on Inkley Point.
Yeah,
doing well down there. So I went down to see him because it just got that bad where I owed money left, right, and centre. Every Friday was a toss-up who was getting paid. When I got paid, who was getting paid? Was it my dealers or was it my ex-wife and my children? This is how this addiction got me. I stepped over my children to get back to feed my addiction. And like I say, 9 times out of 10, normally it was my dealer that would get the money because I wanted some more. And like, this isn't designed for anything, but I'm so grateful for the mother my children have got, because if they would have ended up with a mum like the dad, then God knows what would have happened to them children. So forever grateful for that woman, and not so so it all just went really downhill from then. And then there was a big family there was a big family bust up. I separated from my girlfriend. I lost job after job after job. I even come out of scaffolding because I knew I was either going to hurt somebody or hurt myself. And it's not the kind of job, we all know it's the kind of job, even with all the new safety things, all the safety stuff we've got to adhere to. It's a dangerous job. We work at height. It's a risky business. And I started doing utilities, which was perfect for me because I was working on my own in a van, supporting gangs with barriers and signs and pipe and things like that. And I could do what I wanted. As long as I got my work done, I could do what I wanted. So then that's when it really did escalate into every single day. And one of the firms that I was working for, I scraped the van. And this is how dismissive of normality, like how removed from real life that I was and that addicts are. I scraped my van and it went in to get serviced, and I got another van. And then I get a phone call saying, "Oh, can you come in the office?" This was just before Christmas so not last Christmas, Christmas before. "Can you come in the office?" So I was like, "Oh, right, yeah, all right, yeah," because I could always talk my way out of anything, always. But I weren't talking my way out of this one. So I said, "Right, well, we fix your van, okay." And we found 8 empty cans of Stella behind your seat, 4 full cans of Stella, not opened, and 17 empty snap bags. "Oh, it's not mine, Paul. It's got to be yours. Like, you're the only person that's drove that van." And still, I was denying it was mine. And obviously, I lost that job. Argument with the family. I was convinced my kids didn't like me. My kids didn't like what I was. When I had them kids at a weekend, I'd be on the phone to their mum, "Come and get your kids. They're doing my head in. They're doing my head in." The reality of that was I wanted my kids to go back to their mum so I could carry on drinking and taking drugs. And this is when I said we step over our children. A lot of people aren't lucky enough to have children, and I've got 3 perfect, beautiful children, and they didn't even come into the equation when I was doing what I was doing. And that might sound harsh and quite hard for some people to understand, but that was the truth of the matter. That was how bad my addiction had a grip of me. Nothing else mattered. Family, friends that I'd known for 25 years who would have my back, I would borrow money off and just not speak to them. And it wouldn't even bother me. It bothers me now.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've made them amends to a lot of them. And by the grace of God, these people are back in my life now, supporting me with what I'm doing, and they can see that I'm really trying to change my life. So yeah, that's like the depths. And then
it's crazy though, because I think when you hear the story, I mean, with the alcohol, do you know what I mean? It's quite, everybody has seen alcoholics. They know, you have a perception in your head of what an alcoholic will look like. When you talk about drug users and drug addicts, I think we've also got a connotation and an image in our head of what a drug addict looks like. And it's almost like when you tell somebody it's cocaine, the perception is like, that's not fucking, you're not addicted to it. You're like, it's just something that you do when you're out with your mates and all the rest of it. But it's not the case at all, is it? I mean, try telling somebody who's addicted to gambling that that's not a proper addiction when they can't walk past a bookies without putting every last penny that they've got into one of the machines. Do you know what I mean? Addiction is addiction, and whatever addiction you're unlucky enough to have to face, it's real for you.
100%. And it's like you talk about your harder drugs, like your heroin, your crack, stuff like that. I didn't do anything like that, but now I'm no way am I minimizing my drug use, because my drug use made me lose my kids for a certain amount of time. I lost my marriage. I lost my house. I've lost job after job after job. I was a football coach, and I was also a safeguarding and welfare officer for a football club. And all this while I was juggling it with addiction. And it's like spinning plates. And I think back to it now, how did I even do it? It's hard work. It really is hard work, having to keep up with all this and all the lies, all the bullshit that comes with it. And it's like, the thing is that not minimizing the cocaine. Me using drugs, drink was always a catalyst for everything. I wouldn't take drugs if I wasn't drinking. So the drink gets away with it because the drink's quite socially accepted. Yeah. And but it would, so that drug use for just the cocaine nearly killed. Well, it did nearly kill me. I tried to kill myself 3 times. Unsuccessfully at the time. I think, I've bottled it. I can't even do that right, because I thought my kids are better off without me, my family are better off without me, my ex-wife's better off without me. She can find somebody else and they can have the best life ever. And this is what was going on in my head. And so it's like, no way would I ever minimize any kind of addiction, because this business that I'm going to try and take out there. Addiction's addiction. We can be addicted to anything. There's drink, there's the substances, food, especially with like porn, sex. We can be a gym. A lot of lads are addicted to the gym.
I think as well as that, touching on that, I think it's the you could call it drug use for that, but like steroids. You know what I mean? Steroid use. I know a lot of lads over the years, and it's like when they're not on the gear, it's like they're no fun to be around. They really like they go into really lows, I guess, because they've less testosterone knocking about the body. Don't fully understand it, but it's a definite. That is an addiction, isn't it? If you can't function properly without having synthetic or whatever testosterone pumping through your body, then you've got an issue, haven't you?
It is, and it's like I can't speak for anyone else, but I'll speak for my own addiction. Putting down the drink and drugs as an addictive person, there's loads of other stuff like tattoos. Can't stop having tattoos. Sure, but I'd rather have tattoos than a big drug debt or stuff like that. Screen
time, I think that's another one that a lot of people. It's very, very easy to fall into that trap of just scrolling on, Facebook and Instagram. There are all sorts of different things, and like, hopefully, with businesses like yours, we're going to show that there's help out there.
But like just going so with this business, so I said the idea at the start of the program. So as it started to gather a bit of momentum now, the idea for the business, so the BWS Clearmind, that's after my children, Bobby, Walter, and Sydney. So there's a lot of everything I do is for me first, because I need to be right, and if I'm right, everybody else has got a chance. A part of my family has got a chance to be along like with me, and I've got to put my recovery first. Things like my fellowships and my 12-step program, because without me being firing on all cylinders, it affects everyone else. Addiction is a family illness. Everybody suffers when the addict is in the madness, is in that chaos. So the idea for the business is, like I said, to scaffolding firms to start with, because I feel comfortable. Not many people will be able to stand in front of a room of 20 scaffolders, and yourself, you do it all the time. But I think I will, because I know scaffolders and I know what I'm trying to deliver as a service might not help everyone. It won't help everyone, but if it can help one person, do you know what? That's all right. So
well, as you've seen with yourself, that one person that you help, chances are you've had help. You've been lucky enough to find help and find programs, 12-step programs. It's led you to want to help other people. So even if you do just help one, if that one helps another one, you have that compounding effect of, just helping one person. Again, we use the word minimize. Shouldn't be minimized, should it? If one person finds help, that's one more person who's potentially there to help others.
Yeah. It's like just before the business thing, I just missed out the most important thing is how I got to the fact where I'd had enough. I'd come back from I spent nearly 9 months in Plymouth, only came back twice to see the children in that. And that, like I say, people who don't understand will think, oh, what's all that about? But it was convincing yourself of things that aren't real. And I came back from Plymouth expecting, as usual, all the family to go, all right, oh, he's back now. And let's give him another chance. Let's put him up. And if that would have happened, I wouldn't be sat here now. I'd still be out there using, or probably might even be dead. And that might sound dramatic, but it is that serious. And my addiction can take me to them places very, very, very quickly. So I came back from Plymouth. Best thing my family's ever done is not turn their back on me. They go, can't help you. You need to do this on your own. So I ended up, not even this time last year, it was end of November, December, living rough in Ashton. And then I went into a homeless shelter, which I turned up there with my, still had all my gear in a fittings bag. This is what I mean, all that time. A fittings bag full of clothes. Turned up at this hostel. Don't know, I was expecting my own room with a sea view and free view and all that. And I was in a dormitory with a load of other blokes who were all still bang at it. And it was horrendous. And it was lawless. I can look after myself a little bit, but I'm not ashamed to admit, I was frightened. I was frightened to death. There was drug use, some really serious drug use going on around me. And as grateful as I am to that place, I don't ever want to go back there. Because without that place, I would have been on the streets. If I would have been on the streets, I might have picked up again.
So that was the turning point, you'd say?
Massive turning point. That was it. I'm surrendering to this addiction now. I know I cannot. My life is unmanageable with alcohol and drugs involved. And if that's the only thing I've got to give up to get my kids back in my life, my family back in my life, to wake up in the morning, not frightened to death of who's ringing me, who's after me, who've I lied to, what lie have I said, can't even remember. To wake up with a little bit of, like, even it might sound ridiculous to some people, but with the window open and listening to the birds, instead of thinking, oh shit, someone's here to pick me up for work, I've not been asleep. And then, so from the homeless shelter, I got a key worker, and I will mention his name because that guy saved my life, Kevin. Kevin must have seen something in me, and he gave me some suggestions, because they don't say do this, do that, because it's not about that. It's about, well, I'll tell you what, this worked for me, so why don't you have a look at this? And he said to me about going to some 12-step meetings, some fellowship meetings. So I thought, you get a cup of tea, you get a biscuit, and you get out the cold for a bit, and you go, well, I thought, why not? And I walked into my first AA meeting last December in Ashton Town Centre, and I thought someone was having me at it. I thought, this isn't an AA meeting. Some guy sat there in a dead nice coat. I always remember a Stone Island jacket. I thought, that's well smart. Someone had nice hair. And they all had their own teeth and car keys and everything. I thought, this isn't an AA meeting, because for me, an alcoholic is a park bench, sat on a park bench with a brown paper bag with holes in his shoes and a sleeping bag. And it ain't like that. And I walked into that meeting still in denial, thinking, I'm not as bad as these lot. Let's just think where I was that night. I was staying in an homeless shelter. I had £1 in my pocket, which I've still got that pound to this day. That pound's mounted on a shelf at home.
Do you know what? Some people hear things like that and they're like, oh, you know, and like sometimes I think to myself, I'm not really the sentimental type or anything, but I am, you know, things like that, they do matter. Like when I started this company up, my auntie had passed away in the August, and we set the training business up to go alongside the scaffolding business in the November, I think it was. And she'd put 20 quid in my birthday card, and I'd never picked it up. So I ended up getting the birthday card with the 20 quid in it. You know, after she sadly passed away, and that was the first 20 quid I put in the bank, you know, to like sort of seed fund the business, if you will. But like, it's the first 20 quid I put in the bank. My auntie, she was called Maria, first scaffolding company that came on as a retained client for their health and safety services, Maria Scaffolding.
It's crazy how these things work. This is all this, like I said, this belief in something's watching over us all. Yeah. And I'm a massive belief. I'm not a religious person, but I do know all the things that go on in this world, and these like things that just end up in your path, in our path.
Serendipity, I think it's called.
That's the word I was after. Yeah. So yeah, and it's just crazy how these things work. But I'd done 9 days in that homeless shelter, and then I got picked up by the rehab centre, which I did my treatment with, which I'm not going to mention their name. But I got picked up by the treatment centre, and I got put in a pre-rehab house. So it was a safe house. You had to stay clean and dry in there, but you're encouraged to go to groups and things like that. And I just grabbed it, and I had the best night's sleep I've had in years. My first night in that place, because I knew I was safe and I wasn't scared anymore. I knew that I had to do some work on myself. And find out what makes me run to these places, what makes me pick up a drink, pick up a drug, run off to Plymouth, what makes me convince myself my kids are better off without a dad, and these kind of things. So the treatment centre, I've just been one of the, apart from my kids, the best thing that's ever happened.
And Clearmind. So now that you've not the drink on the head and the drugs. How clear-minded do you feel?
It's mad. It's crazy. It's the little things now, little things that you notice that you wouldn't care about. I've always been a caring person, apart from the last really few years, and now it's nice when I've got relationships back with my mum and dad now. That how they're still sticking around with me, I do not know, but they are because they're my parents and they love me. And the relationships I've got with them now, my mum, now when I text or ring my mum in the morning, she says she just lights up because she knows it's going to be, "Hi, mum, how are you? Are you all right? What are you up to today?" Not, "Oh, mum, you'll never guess what's happened now. I need 150 quid till Friday. I promise, I swear down, I will pay you back," and all that. And like my dad, I didn't speak to my dad for a long time. And even when I was coming back from Plymouth, like I had a breakdown down there. I just wanted to come home, and I handled things the wrong way. I'm ringing my dad, I'm texting my dad. My dad's 65 years of age. I'm saying, "You better do this. You better do this. I'm going to do this to you." My dad's 6'2", built like a brick shit house. At 65, he's still wiping the floor with me. But that ain't the point. I'm still being disrespectful. And they've seen the effort that I've put in. Because do you know what? It's all right to start saying, "Well, thanks to that person, thanks to that person, thanks to that." Do you know what? Thanks to me.
Yeah.
I have worked really hard. I've worked so hard to change my life, and it's been difficult, and it's not been easy. One day at a time. Do I still have drinking thoughts? Of course I do. Still think, do you know what? I go in the summer, I'll go past the beer gardens on the bus, and I think I'd love that. Oh, it'd be nice. Or I miss that simple glass of red wine with a nice meal, the normal stuff. But I can't have that. And it's like I've had to do all this work on myself to try and salvage the rest of my life.
Other than the 12-step program, is there anything else that sort of keeps you on the straight and narrow? I mean, like, I don't mean in terms of like how you behave and you know your relationships with people. Is there anything else that sort of keeps you away from the drink?
Yeah. Now, if we had this conversation 12 months ago, I would have told you to do one. But prayer and meditation, like I say, I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. If I don't say my prayers or I do a meditation in the morning, very quickly my day starts to slip. Now, if I start slipping back into addiction, I will be the last person to see it. So what keeps me on the straight and narrow is setting my day up right. I connect with people. Connection is the opposite of addiction. I speak to people all the time. I've got some great friends in my life. I've got mates in my life now that I would never have ever have met. From their backgrounds to my background. My background, I wouldn't have met you unless you played football, you liked to drink, or you was a scaffolder, or you was just like the local village idiot. I wouldn't have ever have met you. Never. And these people I've got in my life are just both male and female. The only female friends I ever had in my life were female friends for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Where now some of my best friends and they're my friends. All they want is to be friends with me. They don't want anything from me apart from a bit of love and respect, like back to them. The lads that I live in a house at the minute with a couple of other lads. They're all brilliant. We all watch each other's behaviours. My mum, my kids, my dad, they sometimes say, "Are you all right today? You seem a bit off." I'm all right. Straight away, defensive, "I'm all right. Are you sure?" And when we sit down and go, "You know what, I'm not. Do you know what? This has happened. And it's just the power of," and it's like the fellowship meetings. If someone said to me 12 months ago, "Go and sit in a room on a Friday night with 8 alcoholics and they will get you well. You'll get the 8 other drinkers will get you sober," I'd think, "What are you on?" Because I want a bit of that. And I can't explain to you how it works. It just does. And with the 12-step program, we work through a book. It's like it's a big book, like a Bible kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, when you said prayer before, I was thinking Serenity Prayer. Is that?
Serenity Prayer, that's one of them. But just connecting with my higher power. So in the morning, it'd just be a basic, "Do you know what? I've got this on today. Really nervous about this. And it's just handing your stuff over, because evidence says if I don't hand my head over or my thoughts to other people, like-minded people, evidence says I run my life on my own self-will. Evidence says I end up trying to kill myself and in a rehab. So with this new business as well, the team I've got around me, which is including the help I've had from myself, it's like running my thinking past others, because it doesn't do any harm, because someone could give another slant on it. You know what? Why don't you have a look at this? And even my mum's the best for it.
You know, it's really interesting. You've got, and I've seen, like, you know, the network that you're building and all the rest that you've talked about, and it's like, you know, that is a business in a sense. You know what I mean? If you can hand off some of the administrative responsibilities to somebody else, and if you can, you know, you think, well, I'm not the most creative person, I'm going to get this stuff written in a way that is going to resonate with people. You know, what kind of images am I going to use in my PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that, and being able to hand that over to people. That is essentially what a business is, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's you're directing your vision to people who can help you deliver it. It's just it's so interesting to hear that you say it. None of those people are being paid. Do you know what I mean? It's a collaborative effort to achieve a goal, and it's people that have come together. That you know, there's no commercial interest for a minute, which is brilliant. It's astounding. Do you know what I mean?
And especially in this day and age now, where we think everyone's just out for themselves and things like that. And my original fellowship sponsor, like, because with me, you've got to like throw enough shit to some stick for it to stick kind of attitude. And when he puts things in football analogies, I kind of like get it. So he said, right, let me put it to you like this. He went, this is your team, your centre midfielder, captain, and you've got the ball, but you can't do it on yourself. So when you get tired or you're not sure about something, you pass that ball to someone else and you have a little rest. So this is what I mean about building this team around me now. And it's like you can pass that ball to somebody else to let them have it for a little bit while you get a bit of strength back, a bit of energy back, and they'll let you give that ball back with a basket of other ideas. And it's, you know what? I like that. Why don't we look at this? And then there's some things I can take to some people. There's some people I can say, like, I do some volunteering, and I'm going to mention these guys at a place called the Infinity Initiative in Ashton. Now, I walked into that. It's a community hub, and it just helps so many people. It's just a beautiful place. And I walked into that place 4 days sober, freezing cold, just wanting, I got told I could get a free cup of coffee from there. I had no money, I had nothing apart from the clothes in my bag. And I went in and I started to help out, wiping a few tables, cleaning up, washing pots, and then ended up volunteering there until I went into treatment. And then I came out of treatment, went back there volunteering, and now I'm part of the team there now as peer support coordinator. So we get people coming in there, lads who were like where I was 12 months ago, and they'll come in and they'll be homeless. What's on offer for us? What can be done? So I am not that interesting or important to say, do this, do that, do that. I can turn around and say, well, I'll tell you what, this is what I did. This worked for me. Why don't you try this? Have a look down this road. Because not many people are even ready to give up any kind of addiction or something like that. Some people don't even realise that they are. I didn't until it was pretty hard to like try and deny it. So being in this cafe, I've got this Infinity Hub cafe. There's a couple of girls, a lot of people in there, but Gemma and Claire and Lynn who run it. And I can run my thinking past them. I don't put my thinking to people who will give me the answer that I'm looking for. I'll put it to everyone and I'll get so many different angles on it. And between us all, we come up with the best idea and the best direction to take it with, which is why this business has gone from virtually an idea to like a full block. I could get on the phone Monday morning, send some emails out. All my contacts I've got on LinkedIn. I've had interest from HSE. I've had interest from CITB. We've already talked about maybe bringing it to NASC and things like that. I could probably go and make my appointments now for the next 2 months, but I've got to do it right. This is my motive in this business. Is not purely financial, but let's live in the real world. I've got 3 kids that need supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. Do you know what I mean? Like, you should, if you're willing to do meaningful work that others aren't, willing to do, then you should be paid for it. Do you know what I mean? You should, we all have bills to pay. And Ian Hines, actually, when he came on last week, he said it. He said it perfectly. He said, we've still got to keep the lights on. Do you know what I mean? As much as I want to be out there doing good in the world, they've still got to keep the lights on. And I think if you look in your heart, you think they're the kind of people who want to support. They're the kind of businesses who want to see you doing well. And I think you will find a lot of people out there who are willing to support in that way.
I just think when it is ready to go, at least I know that I'm giving it everything I've got. And as well, because I work for the rehab centre that I've been through, they've been so supportive, and I've took it to the managers there. And I was on the phone yesterday with the CEO of the organisation, and again, he's just so supportive. I'm going to have a meeting with him next week. We're going to sit down. He's going to say, bring everything you've got. He started up what he's got from nothing, like I'm trying to do, start up from nothing. And I'm thinking in my head's trying to have me over by going, I'll tell you what, I don't really want to ring him because he's going to turn around and say, yeah, hold on a minute. I've got you off the streets. I've put you in rehab. I've give you a house. I've give you a job. And now you want to piss off and do something on your own. And that's how my thinking works, which is, again, going back to this, why I have to have people around me to run me thinking by. And the phone call with him was just perfect. It couldn't have gone any better. Full support, if he can help me with anything. And he said I might have a few ideas as well to add to the party. And it's just madness how it's not even 12 months ago when I was sat in a bedsit in Plymouth. You couldn't see me carpet for cans and bottles and empty packets of all sorts. I was scared to go out the door. I was having psychotic episodes. I was convinced the SAS, this is how mad it is, people will laugh. I was convinced the SAS were coming through the windows to get me. I was coming up with these plans. I could see a business over the road. My plan was to go, right, if I go into this business, I'll do this, this, and this. I'll jump on a train. I'll get to the airport. I'll start a new life. This was the crazy thinking that was going on in my head this time last year. And it's crazy.
It's scary, isn't it? Joe, how bad it can get.
So I know that I've got to have a good defence. I've got a good defence against that first drink. It is not the 20th pint or the 7th, whatever, that will get me smashed. It's that first one. So if I don't have the first one and have a defence against that first drink, just for today, and I'll do it again. I can't sit here. Can't explain to my children. My daughter, she's 6. She's not really seen a lot of the bad stuff, really, because she's only a baby. And she said to me on the park last week, she went, Daddy, will you promise you'll never get drunkard again? And obviously I've got to say, yeah, I can't sit her down and say, well, I can't.
I'm on a 12-step program. I'm going to keep sticking to it.
Just for today, yeah. And then after that, and then I'll do it again tomorrow and all that. My eldest son, he's 15. He's had to grow up quick. He's had to fill my shoes in the house. And it's not fair. He's a kid. And he think he's kind of coming around to the idea that it's not just as easy as Dad just wanted to go out and get drunk, thing like that. So the work I've got to do, consequences of my actions, to prove to my children that A, I'm not going anywhere, B, I'm going to be the dad that they deserve, and C, I'm going to be consistent. Every time I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, no matter if I've got to walk on broken glass, because them children deserve the best version of me. And by me working this program, with the work I've had from the treatment centre, the friends I've got around me, the new friends that I've got around me now in this business side of things, then I can prove to myself and be the best version of me, and everything else should hopefully come in.
Have you had challenges along the road? Like, say, have you been in a pub, for example? And
my sister got married in Ireland in June, and again, all this family relationship, I ain't spoke to my family for quite a bit. So I've come out of treatment, we're making friends. I wanted to come to the wedding. Well, I'm not going to go to Ireland, but they had a reception party over in Denton Golf Club. And I had an exit strategy if something or I won't handle it. But I thought, again, I keep talking about my head having me over. And in my head, I'm thinking, right, everyone's just going to want to know, oh, what was you doing in rehab? What was this? What was that? And I was building myself all up for these anticlimaxes, and not one of them happened. Everyone was just glad to see me, glad I looked well, glad I was doing all right. And it was all right. I'm sat with me lime and soda, which if you've had a night on lime and soda, you spend more time at the toilets than I did when I was banged at it. And then in my head, I'm thinking, I bet everyone thinks I've got a bag on me or something. And it's just, that's my head having me over. And I had a lovely night.
Yeah.
And it's like later on at the end of the night, I thought, don't want to be outside when everyone waiting for taxis and all that. And I took myself away, and it's all right. I'll go up to my mum lives up in Mosley. I'll go up there a lot. We'll go for walks down the canal. We'll stop at a beer garden. My mum will have a lime and soda as well, even though she doesn't have to, but that's what she wants to do. While
she does it like in solidarity with you, kind of thing.
I can I've not been back to the match yet. I used to love going back to the match. I got offered a ticket for City the other week, and I turned it down. And the reason I took me, someone said, "Oh,
maybe being sober made you come to your senses that maybe you will be a United fan after all."
Oh, come on, mate! I'm not that poorly. I don't think any rehab could get rid of that anyway. But but it's not the fact that I can't trust myself at the match.
Yeah,
it's I used to go to a match with my sons.
Yeah,
and the next time I go to a City match is with my boys. And my boys aren't ready for that yet. My boys aren't ready for full on dad yet. And that's this has got to happen in their time. I can't.
The match, I reckon, will be a hard play. Like, I used to go to the match a lot more. But it's one of them environments where it's just, I think there are certain, if I was to putting myself in your shoes, it's biased about the challenges, really, and try to get advice from myself in a way. Not that I'm but I reassessed my relationship with alcohol all the time, because I do feel when I wake up, when I've had a drink the night before, I don't feel as sharp, I don't feel as at it and all the rest of it. And I sometimes think to myself, like, what environments would be the most challenging? You know, work on the tools with the lads. I had to get back off the tools again because, you know, I definitely drank more when I was on the tools with the lads. I thought, what other environments? And I thought, obviously going into a pub's the obvious one in it, because that, you know, that's the kind of almost the whole purpose around being in a pub. But the match is definitely one of those sort of environments where it just seems like I don't think I've been and not drank. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd just be, yeah.
I'd never go in a pub when I didn't have to go in a pub. But especially because I'm still only early in. I'm not 12 months yet, and I just won't put myself in them positions. So I'd like I said, go for a walk with my mum. I'd have no problem taking my kids for a meal in a pub. No problem at all. That'd be fine. But if one of my mates from back in the day rang me up, said, "Oh, come and meet me," not like knowing full well that I wouldn't have a drink. "Oh, well, come and meet me." I'd say, "Do you know what? If you want to come and meet me, let's go and have a coffee." I don't need to be in a pub, and I won't want to be in a pub unless like, do you know what I mean? It's
I can hear that scribbling sound. I don't know whether I'm on camera or not. These are what I get.
Just go so fast
when we're running over. Yeah, I get a little. I can hear it now as well. Like, it used to be a distraction, but now I can just hear the scribbling. I know it means that we're sort of running slightly over. But for people to sort of find you and, you know, and watch your journey go, how can they sort of?
Well, I think what I'd like to get from this, from a bit of a selfish business point of view, is for when this podcast goes out, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm friends with yourself and a few others. Are quite easy to find. Paul Dean, BWS Clearmind Limited. If people are interested and think this might might be a bit handy to their business, because there's more than what goes into, like, my idea to come in. Let's go into John Smith Scaffolding, and I hope John Smith Scaffolding doesn't exist, because I keep using him all over the place as an excuse, as a reason. So John Smith Scaffolding gets me in. So I will come in. I will provide a presentation, a bit of a life story like I've done now, but on a PowerPoint. This is where I was scaffolding. This is what I had. this is what I lost. This is where my addiction took me. This is what I did to surrender. This is what I've done to keep myself clean. This is what I've done to get myself back on the straight and narrow. Now, I've been a scaffolder before. If I'm stood in a room full of 15 scaffolders who are all with the mates, the boss is in the corner, the woman from reception's in the corner as well, no one's going to want to put their hand up and say, you know what, Paul, yeah, I get on it at weekends. That's why I've missed the last few Mondays. I'm really struggling with drinking. I'm struggling with drugs, stuff like that. That ain't going to happen because they think they're going to get sacked, something like that. So the next part of my service would be to offer an confidential chat line. They can speak to me, they can tell me what the problems are and things like that, and we can try and suggest where we go from here. Do we send them to maybe go and speak to someone privately? Do they go to a fellowship meeting? Is there any other numbers they could do? Is there any kind of behaviours you can do? There's apps out there. There's so much help out there if someone's thinking they're struggling, because believe me, very, very quickly, you can lose your wife, your kids, your job, your friends, your family, your life. It can happen very quickly. If there's someone that's struggling out there, I've been there. It's nothing. I've not read this in a book. I've lived that world. I've lived that experience. I can try and help you out. Now, my other side to it as well, and I'm going to use an example here with a bit of aftercare for the scaffold companies, for the building industry themselves, is a bit of aftercare where, let's just say, for argument's sake, you've got a lad who's working with you and he's missing the odd Mondays, and you might think he's up to something. Now, we could go and sack these lads all day long, and then they get a reputation. Don't take him out, he's a drinker. Don't take him out, he uses drugs. And very quickly, their life will spiral out of control, as mine did. So what I'm saying, if there's any concerns around this, we can work with them. We can get them in. We can speak to them. We can say, do you know what? If you're struggling, why don't we have a look down this road and things like that? And it's a bit of aftercare. It's like an example I'll use. It's like the pubs now. You know, you can go into a pub and everyone's bang at it. 10, 15 years ago, the landlords in the pubs, if they suspected anyone of using drugs, they'd be throwing them out and they'd be kicking them out and they'd be banning them for life. Now, it's that rife. You can't do that now. You'd have no people in your pub. I'm not saying everybody's bang at it. I'm not. But a lot of people are. So a lot of it gets like turned a blind eye to and things like that. So I'm saying, instead of even dismissing it, try and imagine it's not there. It is there. There's a lot of addiction in the building industry. Let's have a look at it and see if we can try and help it instead of normalising it. And
yeah, you see this with like your drug and alcohol testing, and like if you've been on one of the big sites, now the drug and alcohol testing vans there, and everyone's just scarpers, and it's like a bit of the sort of standing joke kind of thing, because you know that if you are caught, you're gone. And I think you're bang on right is that we should be looking for it, but not looking for it to sort of as a witch hunt and try and get people out of the business. It's try to find out the problems as they are and see where we can go to helping them. It's just a strange thing with any other problem in the business. Do you know what I mean? Like from a risk assessment perspective, we were having a lot of like hand injuries. We'd probably start looking at different control measures, like what are we using the right type of gloves? Are we the lads doing the right type of task? Is there something we could do to eliminate that part of the task? So the hands wouldn't be in the line of fire kind of thing. You'd look for solutions, whereas with drugs and alcohol, it just seems to be gone. Off you go. You've broke the rules, and we don't want you working for this company anymore. I think aftercare and stuff like that could be a potential solution.
Yeah, it's still, like I said, everything. And the thing with this business now, I'm going to present for the first time the presentation at an event in Oldham on Tuesday. 150 people are going to be there. So as usual, I ain't doing things by half, and it's like straight in at the deep end and stuff. So the business itself is going to evolve, and it's like if someone was at this first presentation on Tuesday and then maybe at a future one in 6 months, the presentation will be totally different. It's going to grow arms and legs. Other things are going to come into play.
You're going to develop as well.
Exactly. I will develop as a person. And what this business will not be, though, is my recovery. This will be my occupation. And I'll be lucky enough to have an occupation Not many people are lucky enough to have a job that they love, and I think I will love this job. My program, my helping others, my sponsoring other addicts, being there for other people as much as they are for me, that will probably have to increase to balance my life. I've got to have a balance in my life, and if I've got too much of me and not enough of other people, things do get a little bit out of control, like I said, very quickly. So it's a good balance that I've got there. I'm so extremely lucky. I believe that not everyone's path's measured out for them. I believe that in a certain way it may be, and it's up to us when we get to these crossroads. Do we turn left? Do we turn right? Do we go straight on? But the people that have come into my life recently around this, it's just, I know I can take virtually everything to him, and I'm going to get an honest answer back. I refer to him again. Ainsley knows exactly where I'm coming from. And a few times this last week, I've gone, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And he's just gone, whoa, hold on a minute. Why don't you not look at it for? And it's like, oh, yeah. And it's good. It's like, again, having that team around you, like we would in any other business. And it's like a family. It's feeling like family unit of people around you who care about you and who you care about as well. So, as I said, if just to wrap it up, I think with any other information, I can be contacted quite easily, message or through other people like Isaac.
Oh, absolutely.
Other people. And if anyone wants any information or anyone's got any ideas, you know what, throw them my way. Is there something you've seen in this that I've not even touched or I can't see, which is there? Because that's another one of my things, not seeing things that are right in front of my face. Please, any feedback, advice or support, I'll be all over that and I'd really appreciate it.
That's a great note to end on. You know, it's not that this is where you can find me and all the rest of it. It's like you're willing to be helped as much as you're willing to help others, which is perfect. Thanks so much for your time. I genuinely think this is going to touch a lot of people and get a lot of people having important conversations. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, mate. Been a pleasure. Cheers.
Top man.